look up if you want. But using statistical methods to monitor and control production processes, if you are producing something, identifying any deviations from quality standards, and again, taking timely corrective actions. Don't wait, don't let it sit, don't get to it later, address it immediately. Your reaction to things are what you're going to be judged on more than anything else. Use customer feedback satisfaction surveys on a regular basis. Collect feedback from them. Conduct satisfaction surveys. And use that information to improve your products and service. A lot of people will go through the process of doing a survey and then take the surveys and say, that's interesting, and put it in a drawer. Dig in. Dig in and read those things. One step further, go look at your reviews. What are your customers saying? Make changes based on what you're hearing. Do not get defensive. Be open-minded and be receptive to feedback. If you're not, you have no business being in business. You have to listen to your market. You can apply the Lean and Six Sigma methodologies that'll help you eliminate waste, reduce defects. If you're producing something, it'll help you streamline your processes. And overall, that's going to always lead to improved quality and efficiency. All of those things. It makes perfect sense, I would hope, right? It involves using data-driven approaches to eliminate waste and reduce defects. It'll help you. Make sure you've got some supplier quality management process in place. It's important for you to establish strong relationships with suppliers. Implement very stringent quality standards for incoming materials, not just yours going out. For you real estate brokers, how many folks have you seen that will build a house with bad lumber? Think about what you're using to push out. You have to start with something solid, something good, something of quality, if you're going to ever put anything of quality out. Sometimes you get what you pay for. So think about that when you're pricing your cost of goods, anything that goes into your services or products. Very important. Always, always don't set it and leave it. If you're using a vendor, keep checking the quality of that. Constant and regular assessments of what's coming in and the quality of what's coming in for you is super important. Encourage all your employees at all levels to contribute ideas for process improvements. Implement a culture of continuous improvement and recognize those folks, rewarding them for any innovative suggestions that are going to help your company grow, make more money, and just be overall more efficient. Make sure you establish those key quality metrics. Track your performance against those metrics. Make sure that you are hitting your goals, that the things that are in place and working for you are actually helping you reach those goals and helping you make more informed decisions about what you're going to do next. One of the best ways to help your company achieve operational effectiveness is to be proactive and mitigate your operational risks. And you can do that very easily by identifying and assessing potential risks in your industry. And now in the world of ChatGPT, go ahead and put that in there. What are some risks in the industry of real estate? What are some risks I need to be concerned about in the area of transportation? Put that in and see what comes up. If you can develop risk mitigation strategies and contingency plans, it's really going to let you get ahead of these things and be ready for what might come your way later. And some of these we covered already, but risk assessment, conducting a comprehensive assessment to identify potential risks and their impact on your business operations is one. Risk prioritization, is just prioritizing your risks based on the likelihood and potential impact so that you can allocate your resources effectively if it happens, making sure you've got a plan in place. And risk prevention, that's going to be you implementing measures to prevent identified risks from occurring, such as implementing safety protocols or implementing redundancies in critical systems. Just making sure you've got things ready to go. Have a business continuity planning in place as well. Develop contingency plans to ensure the continuity of your business operations in the event something happens. If you lose power and you're a warehouse, what are you going to do? If there's a pandemic and you're a restaurant, what are you going to do? Have a plan ready to go. You know, we saw a lot of this during the pandemic, right? I was amazed watching this, sitting back and watching who was going to come out of the gate and have all these new ideas. And boy, there's people that rose to the top and there's people that folded under pressure, right? Nobody saw it coming, but there are people that stepped up and knew exactly what to do for some reason, just thought outside the box and were innovative. Know that for your business. What happens if the supply chain goes again and you're waiting for parts from somewhere else? Do you have a plan B? What are you going to do with your customers? Are you going to tell them that they have to wait? Do you have another vendor you can go to locally and maybe pay more money? Get that plan in place. There's training, preparedness. Go ahead and train those. Drill your employees. Okay, we all have those different training sessions we have. Have them ready. We're going to run a mock emergency situation if all the power goes out in the building. Here's what we're going to do. Have them ready to go. Have some kind of communication plan for your stakeholders. Make sure you're ready to communicate with all of them. Have those letters ready to go. Don't start from scratch if something happens. Monitor and review everything continuously. As things change, this should change as well. And your lessons learned, after every incident, sit down and review it. What could we have done better? What did we do well? What should we change for next time? Learn from your own experiences. It's a lot of information, but there's so much you can do. But the key here, and I'm hoping that you heard the main message here, is being proactive, getting out in front of this stuff. So the minute something happens, you're not caught. What am I going to do? There's a lot. You're never going to be able to put everything in place, but get as much as you can in place and keep trying different things. Don't be scared to try things, but always make sure you set your goals so you know where you're always headed, and change the goals as you need to. But give yourself some kind of a guiding light for yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. So I hope that helps you put some kind of efficiency plans in place and shows you the potential for any size business. I hope that helps. I'm happy to take questions if you have questions, or.
Wow. Incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you. So much we need to go back to digest, to chew and digest. So much. Thank you so much. I see a question here from a couple of questions actually from Joseph saying, can you help with a brief on the fishbone analysis or model?
Okay, I didn't quite hear that, so I'm going to go back up here. Can you help with the brief on the fishbone? Yeah, it's there's different methodologies to do this, and it's so hard to even introduce any of them because they don't all apply to all businesses. So, and when we do something like this, it's so hard because there's so many different industries in the room. So what I would tell you to do, rather than digging into any one individually, is go even into Google and say, depending on what business you're in, and start with process for organizational effectiveness in my real estate business or my transportation business. And then start digging into what model works the best for what I'm trying to do. Because some things are too much for what you're doing. Some are designed more for product development. It really depends what industry you're in. They're all good. They're all good, but they don't all apply to every company, every industry. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. It says also, is Six Sigma strategy best process management or market survey?
Yes, I mean, again, it's all good. It's going to help you with lean processes. Yes, absolutely all good. There's a learning curve to some of it. You know, some of the people take actual training for this, which I would recommend. Anybody who's in that kind of field that comes into a company and does that has been trained. You'll see that in job descriptions, that if they have that training, it's helpful. If you have somebody that's kind of positioned to do that in your organization, it would be worth your while to send them to some kind of courses to get trained in that area. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Stella, over to you, please.
Make sure I got all these. Continue. Yes. Okay. All right, good. And again, you know, if we could talk about this for 5 hours. It was a 40-minute workshop, so I tried to put as much in there as possible to get you all hungry to go try to learn more and how it applies to your individual business. Hoping that I stressed and hit that mark with you of anybody can do this. Anybody can make their business better if they think through their processes more.
Absolutely. Stella, over to you. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Deeply appreciate this moment. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephanie. That was very, very expository. I'm sure every business person here has gotten a thing or two. So I took some notes. Yes. And you know, it's not just that you tell yourself you're going to take a note. When you listen the first time, you get some points. When you listen again, you get another point. And I like how you started it based off just Kayode's remark about learning how to achieve operational efficiency in economic turbulence. You said the more you have your processes in place, the more you are prepared for turbulence. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to start. And you mentioned that it's very important as business owners and entrepreneurs to be more proactive than reactive. The need for everyone to be ready. I really like that part. Something else you also mentioned that was profound is never make your strategy or operational document stay in the shelf. It's not meant to be in the shelf. You're meant to, you know, it's a living document. You're meant to improve it. You're meant to tweak it. You know, it's meant to be live. You also mentioned something that I also thought was very important. You said, if it is not measured, it cannot be managed or it cannot be properly improved. So every of our processes, you gave some metrics that you can use in evaluating all of these processes to know if it's effective and how it can be better. I think our participants can also drop their learning points because these are my own learning points that I got from the
session.
Listened.
That was great.
Yes,
that was great.
I did. And you also mentioned the fact that the quality, the way I put it, the way I rephrased it was that the quality management system that you put in place in your business should be the basis for training your people so that the quality stays the same across board. So they won't, your customers or your clients do not know that you're not the one handling it. Then you say, oh, because I was not around, that was why the outcome was this way. You should use the same quality or the standards to which you hold yourself in training your people. And then you say also as a business person, if no one is calling you to complain, don't assume that everything is fine. It's our responsibility to reach out and then find out if you are actually doing well or if they've given up on you already, because you never know. how that is. And then you said don't start from scratch. So peradventure that's a business continuity issue. You shouldn't start from scratch because you've put in processes that would help you, contingency plans that would help save your business. I learned a great deal. I mean, this was like a crash course, everything in one, very insightful, like Oladipupo says. So for all our business people here, if you have a question, this is your opportunity to ask. So please ask all of your question that has to do maybe crisis management, business processes, whatever it is. I like that. And I also like one thing that you mentioned. You mentioned how people should just Google away. I mean, everything that you need. There's this popular saying that there are two powerful G's in the world. The first one is God for revelation, and then Google for information. So whatever idea you have, just put it in on Google or ask ChatGPT, and then it will help you. And while I think it was Joseph who asked the question. Yes, while Joseph was asking the question about, can you help me with a brief on the fishbone analysis and model? I was already Googling away because I recall that I've heard that fishbone analysis is also called Ishikawa model. So it's people that use this model, particularly people in manufacturing or product development. So your response was very accurate when you said that there's a need for people in different industries to find out what works for them. So you don't just take fishbone and say, because I heard fishbone, I think I can use it. I mean, that's why you have Google. Just perfect and response. What is the process for achieving organizational effectiveness in my industry? Then put your business, and voila, you have your answer. I mean, I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It seems like it was perfect and everyone seemed not to have a question, or I don't know why they're not asking questions, or maybe they're loaded already and they're looking for where to start from. I mean, just start from asking Google what the process for organizational effectiveness in your business would be, and then you can take it off from there, one after the other. Thank you for your time, Stephanie. It would also be nice for us to connect with you. So I just want to find out if your email is the best way to connect with you, or do you have any social media platform you're very active on where we can reach out to you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. But if you can't find my profile, you can go ahead and email me at the email. It's on the screen now, the GEC@gwinnettcounty.com, and I'm happy to share that link with you. But I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Jesse has a question. Jesse says, what softwares can we use to manage systems of quality?
Software can we use? Well, sometimes it's again, it depends on what industry you're in. There's tons of things you can do. It might be if you're trying to manage your quality with your customers, you can use something as simple as MailChimp to make sure you're creating surveys, or a software called JotForm, where you're emailing and sending survey forms out to your clients. And a lot of that stuff is free that you can do that. And if you're a smaller company, it's also something where you can be getting these sent to you. And I don't care if you have 10 customers, you're still gauging quality in there. So asking them the right questions, go ahead and put into chat, what questions should I include in a survey to customers of blank industry, to see what questions you should be asking. There's a ton of information for that. You'll get that, and then go ahead and send the survey out and see what your customers are saying. Start looking at your own records, your financial records, what customers are coming back. It's very telling when you start looking at repeat customers and then start wondering. We tend to, send a survey out also to people and then take the ones that responded, but don't look elsewhere sometimes too. Go to your reviews and see what people are sending and pull that information. You have to get it from a few different sources, depending on what you're trying to get. But use the data in there. Set up an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't. It's data for you. And you use that depending on what business you're in and what you're trying to accomplish with that information. You know, if you're trying to find out why they didn't come back, what their satisfaction rate was, what is your next step? If you get 5 people who say, I was not satisfied, make your next step to pick the phone up and make a personal phone call to them and say, you know, we noticed you said 1. We'd like to hear more about that. But you don't need a system. You really don't. You can do it on a spreadsheet. It's that you do it that matters the most.
I like that. I like that. It's very beautiful. So it just simply means that you don't need anything complicated. You don't need anything fancy. There are always simple ways to find out what matters to your business process per time. And then as you scale, you know, if you really do need a software, if you need to build a proprietary one for your business. Thank you very much for that, Stephanie.
Here's what I'll kind of leave you with and challenge you with. Don't try to do everything. Do one thing. Because if you do one thing, it's one thing more than you were doing today. Do something simple, do something you can do. Don't try to take on this massive project. Do one thing that's different and see the difference it makes. And I promise you, it'll motivate you to want to do more.
Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Because a lot of lessons have been gotten today. And, you know, we can be overwhelmed to say.
It's a lot. You don't have to do everything tomorrow.
I want to do everything at once, but
right. Just do one thing, depending on what business you're in. Maybe you check with your vendor and see, I'm going to look at the quality of that again and see if there's better vendors. Or maybe I'm going to look into a survey system, see how I can survey my customers. Or I'm going to look at my customers and see who hasn't reordered in a year. Do one thing. Make that promise to yourself.
Stella?
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Beautiful.
If you have any other questions,
Thank
feel free to reach out
Thank
to me
you
at my
for that.
email address.
Yeah. Yeah, expect some mails. So I'm sure some people may who would watch the replay as well will have the opportunity to reach out as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Terrific. I'm
so
happy
we have
to
another
help.
question and see.
You're breaking, Stella. Maybe I should take it. It says, how can we know what the best is and manage it when we don't speak their technical language? Do we have to study operations in that department?
Speak their technical language. That's really where your employees are going to come into play. So that makes the case for you right there, right? Get somebody in that department to be your liaison. That can be somebody who can actually, we'll call it translating, right? They're translating it. It's like another language. You're absolutely right. And the fact that you're reaching out and say, look, I need to gain data from you and understand what's happening in there. So who can you get that can speak your language and their language and communicate with you? Find that person. Absolutely important. And it's a great question.
Oh.
Do you have to study the operations in that department? No, I don't think so. But it is important that you get in there and maybe shadow them so you understand what their day looks like. You'll have a much better understanding of what happens in that process, that part of the process.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I think Jessie's satisfied with the response. We want to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you for your time. We do not take this for granted. And I believe and I trust that everyone here today will pick one thing, just one thing, and make their business better. Thank you very much once again.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.